And this is why we study effectively. At the bottom line is it's why we develop our abilities, we expand our capabilities, because we all aspire to this thing called influence. And influence is the ability to cause an effect, even if it is in indirect ways. It's something we all pursue throughout our lives. And our influence is linked to certain key things. One is our character. You know, your reputation is what other people say about you, but your character is what your actions say about you. Influence is also linked to serendipity. Those unexpected, exciting opportunities, events and experiences that emerge out of nowhere that open new doors for you in terms of innovation and influence. But influence isn't just a product of things that happen to us. It's a product too of things we decide for ourselves, particularly in the area of skill sets, the skills we use. And I'm talking tonight particularly about skills in leadership, because I'm addressing to you tonight not as the leaders of the future, but as the leaders of the very near future. And I need to define leadership before I move on, because by leadership I do not mean management. They are complementary but different things. Maybe you're involved in management here tonight as a professional, or you're studying some area of management. Management is essential to any organisation or any enterprise, but it's not quite the same thing as leadership. People can play both roles, but the two roles are complementary but different. Managers are concerned mostly, and I'm speaking generically, about metrics, targets, numbers, benchmarks, pie charts, graphs. All of that is important. But leaders are concerned more with mindset. Managers are structural engineers, very important, but leaders are cultural architects. Leaders articulate a vision, not just for the organisation, but for the city that it serves. Leaders map out a strategy to take us to that vision. They marshal activity to bring in the right people to help us build the strategy. And having done all of that, ladies and gentlemen, leaders are able to facilitate or encourage a culture. The French like to say milieu, culture, an environment in which people flourish, in which people have the confidence to be innovative. How many would like to work in an organisation like that? I know I love meeting people who do. Now, the first package of skills I want to suggest to you that will give you influence in the next 10 years, the way the world is headed, has to do with inspiring trust. Now, I don't have to tell you tonight that we face a major trust deficit in developing nations tonight when it comes to the relationship of citizens to institutions. Whether it's government or media or education or institutional religion, whatever it is, there's a great gap today in terms of trust there. We see it in politics most evidently right now. 62% it is of Brits think that there is no political party that speaks for them. I was just in Germany, in Munich recently. It's similar there today. In fact, in many surveys, government is seen to be the most broken institution and the one most in flux, most changing all the time. We see the same trust deficit with big technology companies. A couple of weeks ago, Google was found to be accessing the private medical records of millions of Americans without their approval or knowledge. At the same time, Google was announcing publicly that it wants to become a bank, a financial institution. So people are left thinking, well, if we can't trust you to stay out of our medical data, why should we trust you with our money? Facebook faced the same question recently, didn't it, when it announced its cryptocurrency, Libra. People were asking, I know I was asking on the BBC, if we can't trust Facebook not to give away our data to people like Cambridge Analytica, why should we trust them not just with our money, but the very nature of what money is? So we see the trust deficit in many areas of society. And that's a shame, because high trust equals capacity to act. Your ability to have influence with anybody in the future will be linked to the amount of trust you engender in them. And there are 4 skills that will help you engender trust and therefore have influence. One of them is a commitment to the common good. I learned this from Nelson Mandela from a distance. I've been going to South Africa for many years and seen many changes there, but Mandela, right from the moment he became president, made it clear in his words and his actions that he was not going to be the president of black South Africa. Neither was he going to be the president of what they used to call, sadly, coloured South Africa. He was going to be the president of all South Africa. And this is what endeared him to the population and to people around the globe. Mandela understood something we need to understand if we're going to have influence, that trust is a product of your experience. You know what you say you know, plus your integrity, you are who you say you are, multiplied by your commitment to the common good. The common good is why businesses now not only have brands and long mission statements, now they also have business mantras. You might have noticed there's a new trend over the last 5 years. So FedEx talks about peace of mind. That's what it wants to produce in the wider population, peace of mind. Nike talks about authentic athletic experience. Wendy's Hamburgers in America talks about healthy fast food. If there's such a thing, but that's what they're talking about. This is what they want to see for the wider community, for the common good. Another skill that will help you produce trust is civility. I was very interested, I've been talking about this for a while, but I was very interested last week to hear in a conference he ran in America, former President Barack Obama making the following comments on this issue.
But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. You know, that's not activism. That's not bringing about change. You know, if all you're doing is casting stones, you know, you're probably not going to get that far.
I think he's right. Judgmentalism is not real activism. If we're going to influence, we're going to have to learn to work with people who don't agree with us on a lot of things, and even strongly disagree with us on some things. And I often suggest to CEOs and civic leaders, including politicians, that if we're going to produce the kind of world we want to see, we're going to have to learn that people who rock the boat are the last ones we should throw overboard. People who challenge us, who make us feel uneasy, they're the people we need alongside us because we need the challenge they bring to our thinking. A third skill that will help you produce trust and therefore influence is visibility or visible leadership. I don't know if you saw the film Darkest Hour. Anybody see that film? It's about Winston Churchill during the Second World War, and he makes that great speech that a lot of Brits know. We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight in the trenches, we shall fight in the landing fields, we shall never surrender. But what most people don't realise is those lines are just the last 4 lines of a much, much longer speech given in the House of Parliament in June 1940. The reason we remember those 4 lines is because the "we shall" is repeated like a mantra 10 times in 4 sentences. We shall, we shall, we shall. This is what I mean by visible leadership. It's the power of identification. I am with you, you are with me, we're in this together. Someone once said that leadership is about making the tough decisions, and it is, but I think leadership is also about sharing the tough experiences. So if I as a leader make a tough choice and it affects other people, they need to see that I am sharing the outcome of that. How many wish we had more politicians who do that today? Also, visionary leadership inspires trust. We have a data overload today. We have so much data coming and it's not slowing down. I could give you figures about where it's going to be in 10 years if we had more time. It's not scary, but it's concerning. We're getting so much data coming at us all the time. People now are looking for somebody to join all the data points and give them a narrative, a story that makes sense of all of that. So when people come to work, they want to feel this isn't just what my company does, this is what my company stands for. They want a storyline. And I think in many ways, the leaders in the next 5 or so years who give the most compelling, interesting, but also realistic stories are going to have the most influence.